Welcome to Dreamcatcher, the program where you can find peace through understanding dreams and visions. My guest today, Marcus Keys, was kind of an impromptu guest. I was visiting my mom, and he's just has some wonderful life stories. So I asked him to share some. And he has some experiences that just cannot be explained. And he shares a couple of those experiences with us today. See what you think.
Welcome to Dreamcatcher, where we hope we say something, we do something that in this program that causes you to realize you're not alone. And our heart's desire is to see you prosper in God in two ways: knowledge and representation. See, we are to be vessels to be used of God. There's few going to be coming on that need interpretations of their dreams, and we're here to help. Robin is a great asset in telling an interpretation of dreams. On this screen right here, I want you to find out how to get a hold of us. We sure do love you. We appreciate you tuning in to the station, and most of all, let us know if this blesses you. Till next time, catch your dream, and we look forward to seeing you.
Hey, I'm here with my dear friend Marcus, and he's a former priest, and he has stories that are just amazing. So recently he shared a story with me that just opened my eyes, opened my imagination, so many questions, so many thoughts. There's things that happen around us every day that we can't understand and we can't explain. So I'm hoping that over the course of time, I have enough visits because he lives about 3 hours from me. But I'm hoping to ambush him like I did today and come into his home and hear one of his stories. This one will blow your mind. Sit back and enjoy.
It's a good story. It's an unusual event for me as well. Maybe not. Not quite sure of that statement being true. But I was in this particular house for a relatively short period, a relatively long period of time, and it had some unusual experiences. From the first moment I entered into the house. A beautiful house, lovely house, comfortable house, air conditioning and heating, and I wasn't used to air conditioning. But I'm not even quite sure. I think I landed when there was air conditioning necessary. In the middle of August, came into this house and I needed air conditioning. But right from the word go, practically, I think it may have been even the second night or the first night, staying in this bedroom in this house. There was nobody else occupying the house at the time, by the way, but it was lent to me for a period of time for my use. And in the middle of the night, I woke up because I was awakened by as if it was a freight train running through my bedroom. And it was quite a long train, not a few hundred yards long or anything, but long, and it was rumbled right through the bedroom. And, well, what was that? Well, I didn't know anything about tornadoes. I knew the word, I read about them, but the only thing I really know was that they were described in whatever I read as the rumbling of a train, of a freight train. And so I was, I said, well, this is it. So I woke up and again, I went back to sleep and got up in the morning at the regular time and I went out. First thing I wanted to see was there any damage done outside the house. And I looked outside, I looked around everywhere, looked at the neighbors' houses around the neighborhood, nothing. I was expecting some trees down, nothing, not zero. And so I visited a friend that morning, and I said, a friend who became a very close friend to me over that short period of time. But right now, they were acquaintances at this moment. And I went down to their house, and asked, by the way, was there a tornado in the area last night? Oh, no tornadoes here. We have never had a tornado in this area. Oh, and I said, why? And they said, why? Did you experience something last night? I said, yes. What did it sound like? Well, I identified it as a tornado because it sounded like a freight train going right through the bedroom. And I said, oh, no, nothing like that has happened here and has never happened here up to now. And so I went away happily enough. Well, I had in my own mind the question, of course, still remained, well, if it wasn't a tornado, what was it? And I was on a spiritual quest at the time. And I said, well, no, I think I might have some idea of what it was, but it was something that I had to take seriously and not ignore. But that was about it. Well, I was living quite happily there in the house, and one morning, very early on in my stay there, I noticed that the little light, what I would call maybe a sink, at the sink of the room, of the kitchen, there was a light rug, maybe, as I said, a few feet long and maybe 18 inches wide. And now, in the morning, it was halfway up, the half of the rug was up the side wall, and half kind of on the, I had been pulled over and went up halfway up the size of the rug. What happened to this? How could this happen? So, of course, I did the right thing. I just took it off and put it back where it should be, which was about maybe 6 to 8 feet away. And the sink would have been. And so I couldn't explain it. I couldn't understand. There was a vent on the floor of that wall. And I said, well, maybe the air drew it up the wall. Well, I told the story to my friends again, what I had experienced, because I didn't tell it immediately, but this happened every morning. So maybe after a few mornings, I said, by the way, this has happened in this room. I wonder, is it the vent? And of course, their response, no, Marcus, that is not the vent. That is not the vent. How could the vent, the power of the, even if there was strong power coming through the vent, it wouldn't have got a light rug, yes, okay, it's light, but it's over in the middle of the room, in the middle of that wall. So it kind of laughed. My theory that it might be drawn over there by the vent was laughed away by my friends. Anyway, I just lived with that. It didn't bother me. But of course, it was an added question. Why was I experiencing these things at this point in my life? Not that I hadn't had experiences before that on a similar kind of things happening, but this was kind of persistent, day in, day out. And one day I was, I don't know what I was doing. I was just relaxing, maybe reading in the living room. And next minute I heard the most beautiful music. But not music. It was actually, it reminded me of Waterford cut glass, a chandelier of cut glass, with as if there was a breeze coming through and it was waving the chandelier. I could imagine there was no chandelier here in view, but the music of the chandelier, the beautiful deep and light, all the different sounds that comes from a very beautiful cut glass chandelier was surrounding me. And I started to see, where is that beautiful sound coming from? And then I said, oh, something like this once happened to me. I misinterpreted the sound many years previously. And it turned out to be something knocking on the edge of the roof, and the roof being tin roof. And so I said, maybe what kind of a roof do we have in this house? And so I went out and I looked at it, and so was there anything that may have been hanging from a tree that was hitting the edge? It would have to be the edge, because the music was beautiful, as if you were just tipping the edge of a cup or of a glass, and you were getting this beautiful music, but different depth of sound. And I checked around. There was nothing on the roof. In fact, the roof was not tin roof, but nothing could have explained. So I got back into the house, and the music was still playing, I said, where is it? Where is it? I went back I could hear it everywhere now, but the strength of the music was centered in somewhere in the living room. And I listened carefully to see now, where would it be? And I figured it was in a little closet in the living room, but between the living room and other rooms. And it was partly in the living room and partly on the entrance to the rest of the rooms in that area. And I opened the little closet. It was a narrow, small closet, maybe where you put a few brooms, and that's about it, would fit there. And there was beautiful music coming from it. And I figured it was from above the ceiling level over into the area between the roof and the ceiling. Now, I did not have any desire to go searching any further for the source of that particular beautiful music. But I just sat back and enjoyed the music, and I would be inclined to kind of pray or kind of call down a blessing on gratitude for the beauty that I'm listening to, but I had no idea what it was. But again, I said, enjoy it. It's happening. And that happened a good few times, not just once. But it came usually, always in the bright of day. That music always happened in the bright of day. And of course, the movement of the little rug happened in the bright of day, because, I was not inclined to get up in the middle of the night wandering around the room. I slept very, very well when I was sleeping there, except for the time I was awakened, and that was only one occasion, by this big rumble for maybe 10, 12 seconds. I mean, it was like eternity, if you like. It was so loud and so, if you like, frightening. I was trying to figure, oh my, what can you do here to avoid this danger of a tornado? But I had a beautiful time in that house. But I had my questions of what was so alive within the house, and why at this particular time, because it may have only happened because I was on a spiritual quest, so maybe I was being given the opportunity to reflect deeply on my quest. But I've had many such experiences during my lifetime, inexplicable, beautiful experiences, and mostly beautiful in the sense of harmless and not harmless. I'm not trying to say the others were harmful, but beautiful, never bothered me, except maybe for two of all my experiences in life, of strange experiences. There were only two experiences that I would have a kind of dangerously spiritual experiences. What I would say, not to be tangled with, so to speak, that one were experienced darkness rather than light. That's a way of putting it. But even those they were frightening, but did no harm. And that may be because called the light of God. And that's what happens naturally, I think. When there is harm, and you're alert to the harm, possible harm, then one is inclined to bring the light of Christ into that particular spot. Not just a broad area, but more particular if something is happening in one spot of a house or of a field or wherever, then at least I am inclined to, I don't want it over there, I don't want it, even 20 yards from me. No, I want the light of Christ here, right with me. And in my experience, then I'm safe. I am safe. I'm protected from any untoward thing happening. Safe from evil. So I don't understand most of these experiences. A few I do. I think there's friendly, and I can't say anything more than kind of no harm experiences, and there are some, in my experience, limited, but truly evil.
If you've backslidden, if you can backslide, you can slide back. Slide back! Amen. Hi, I'm Robin Hardin, host of Dreamcatcher, the program where you can find peace through understanding dreams and visions.
Are you looking for a speaker for your next retreat or event?
Have you met the recruiter? There's only one. Have you met him?
Well, once again, it's our privilege and honor to come into your home about catching your dream. You know, one of the segments I used a word called trust. Trust. Do you know, sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. Let me show you one. How many's ever heard the story about Moses and his mother? Do you know what was going on in that time? Let me just give you some highlights, nothing major. They were killing 2 years and younger. Pharaoh made a decree to kill 2 and younger because he had heard that there was a deliverer going to be raised up. So he thought he could snuff him out. Ain't that just like the devil? Thinks he can snuff things out. And you go, I've got a way this guy's going to come. And they did the same thing with Jesus, going to set up his kingdom. They had a preconceived thought. And trust is hard. It has been for me. I don't know if it has been for you. But if I know you as a human, trust is hard. Because you got a preconceived concept of how God's going to work. Have you ever heard the story? And Moses was around the 2 years of age and he couldn't be hid no more. And his mother holds him up and goes, why not this one? When she couldn't hide him no more, she had to trust God. Do you know what she did? I'm glad you asked. She wrapped him up and built an ark of bulrush. And pitched it within and pitched it without. Would you like to know where she put him? I'm glad you asked. She put him in the Nile River with the crocodiles. I bet you didn't know the Nile River had crocodiles in it, did you? Just watch some of your old Egypt movies and stuff. It's there. And she had to trust the Lord to protect him without him being in her house. Whew. Now that'll preach. Well, he floats down the Nile River, and guess what happens? Pharaoh's daughter goes out and decides to take a bath. Wash her feet and so on and so forth. And she hears this baby. That is a Hebrew baby, not an Egyptian baby. Did you hear that? Do you know where they were killing the kids at 2 years and younger? You know where they were throwing them? In the Nile River. I know. It's unbelievable, ain't it? What other people died in, God kept him in. And that's preachable. But that's okay. Then he goes into Pharaoh's house. It didn't seem right. It looked like it was totally not God's will. But God kept him and made Satan take care of him. Now that one will preach, but we're not preaching. We're talking about catching your dream and trusting God when it seems to be hopeless. God gave me a poem some years back, and it's called When Darkness in the Middle of the Day. When darkness hovers over you like a shadow of years gone by, and you've pondered and questioned in your heart, has all I've done been just a lie? And all around you there seems to be nothing but turmoil, trouble, and strife. Yours is not to question when, where, or why. Yours is to say, Lord, here am I. And the Lord can take that which looks to be hopeless and turn it into good, as you and I both know. Only the Lord could. Wow. Remember, He's the potter. We're the clay. And when He's through molding our lives and things that go on that we have a hard time trusting Him with, He'll take our nights and turn them into day. Wow. And in my walk, there's been some times I said, now God. And God said, I got this. I got this. Trust me. Because I have things in mind you can't see. And if you go by what you see, you'll be disheartened. Remember Peter sinking when he got out of the boat? He was disheartened by what he's seen. He'd been in the storm before. He just happened to be in his safety net, which was a boat. And sometimes God puts us out there for us to walk like he did, and we've got to trust him. And he's our safety net, not the boat. Until next time, do your best to trust. But when it gets hard, just like Peter, Lord, save me. Help me to learn to trust you. And you'll take everything that looks bad and turn it into good, as you and I both know. Only the Lord could. Keep trusting, keep dreaming, keep walking, for the footsteps of a righteous person have order in them, even when it looks chaotic. Trust God. Till next time, keep dreaming. Catch your dream.
My name is Tiffany, and I just wanted to say a little something about the Dreamcatcher Catch Your Dream Journal. Now, before this book, I did used to dream, but it was probably maybe like one dream a week, like one good dream a week that had like substance in it. Well, after I got this book, I was dreaming every single night. This book filled up with my dreams within 3 months, and I was in need of another book. And so I said to Miss Robin, I said, it's like your books are like a dream catalyst that enables you to just dream more and hear more from the Lord. I needed another book, so I got 2 so that I can be prepared. I should probably get 3. But it's a great book, and you should make sure that you get one.
Today we saw that sometimes things happen in life we can't explain, we don't understand. We all have our own ideas on what happened. But there are spiritual things that happen on this earth. I believe that the spiritual world is more real than the natural world that we see. So if you have any kind of experience like this that you would like to share, reach out and let us hear and see what it is that's happening that maybe man can't understand and man can't explain. Catch us here next time on Dreamcatcher and catch your dreams.